taking time out with Premier Sports Officials Association. Sean Johnston here from Omaha, Nebraska, bringing you training tape number 5. As previous training tapes, we do focus on NFHS high school rules. However, a lot of the training that is in this tape goes along with select and college baseball as well. Today's training tape topics are brought to you by umpires who have worked games and sent in rules questions, videos, and observations while going out and watching umpires work. Today's topics, case plays, we're going to go over player equipment, pitcher actions, legal and illegal, substitutes, the process of how to report, and then a case play. Strike zone accuracy tips. Probably the number one observation I have seen is way too big of an outside corner of a strike zone. And, it's one thing to say your zone's too big. Well, now let's take a look at some tips to give guidance of how to get better with the outside corner. And sometimes it's just straight up mechanics of if we just change one little thing, we're going to view the zone differently. We had a play turned in, malicious contact at home plate. So we'll talk about number 1, obstruction by the catcher, and then number 2, interference by the runner. And then, when does malicious contact supersede obstruction? And then reminders. Last week, the NSAA test, part 2, became reviewable. We're going to log into my test that we took together in a study group to review the ones we got incorrect. So with no further ado, wristbands. Rule 161. The batter, hearing a string of numbers announced by the third base coach, takes an instruction card from the pants pocket, looks at the card and determines the offensive play, then puts the card into the pants pocket. Ruling: this is legal. The card may be kept on the wrist or forearm or in a player's uniform pocket. This play was turned in by an umpire because the coaching staff was adamant that this was illegal, that the players must be wearing the game card. Do not let coaches tell you what the rules are. If there truly is a question and you don't know, go with what you know. If they want to protest, go to the Rulebook, look it up, and bring it back. Do not enforce a penalty on a game unless you absolutely know the rule. If you don't know it, don't enforce a penalty. If you don't enforce a penalty and the coach now wants to protest because there should be a penalty, stop the game, go look it up. But wristbands can be worn on the wrist or in the back pocket. With that being said, the batter still only has 20 seconds to be ready to hit. So they can't pull it out of their pocket, look at it for 10 seconds, and take another 10 seconds to get ready. The batter has to keep the pace of play as well. Pitcher sleeves. For individual players, uniform sleeves length may vary. So cold days, you might have a catcher not want to wear sleeves. You might want to have a shortstop wear sleeves. You might have a pitcher that wants to wear sleeves and a third baseman that doesn't. Doesn't matter. But each individual player sleeves, plural, 2, shall have approximately the same length. All right, so we have 2 pitchers here. This pitcher has sleeves approximately the same length, and it is black and dark solid color. This pitcher is legal. This pitcher is illegal. Though pitchers can wear a compression sleeve, the sleeves must be approximately the same length and same color. So for this pitcher to be legal, he would have to be wearing another black sleeve, whether it's compression or a black undershirt, but they have to be approximately the same length. Another item on this pitcher, we have a bracelet. Pitchers cannot wear jewelry. So umpires, add this to your pre-pitch routine when new pitchers come into the game. If it's in between innings, field umpire, you're bringing in the pitcher. Scan that pitcher top to bottom. If you could have him take off that bracelet before he gets to the mound, great. Home plate umpire doesn't have to deal with it. Home plate umpire, when you get behind the catcher to take your 2 to 3 pitches just to get used to the new arm angle, the speed, and movement of the ball of the new pitcher, scan them top to bottom. Anything illegal, make it correct. Because good coaches out there, what they're going to do to you, they're going to wait until that pitcher gets in a rhythm. Once they're in a rhythm, they're going to call time. They're going to address the illegal equipment to get that pitcher out of rhythm. Avoid that. Make that pitcher legal before the warm-up pitches or during the warm-up pitches. Runner on second base. Lefty or righty pitcher feinting a throw is legal as long as they step towards second base. With that being said, if there's a runner on first stealing second and that pitcher does a spin move or lifts and step towards second base because they are making a play on a runner advancing to second base, they could feint that throw as well. All right, so anytime there is a runner at second base or a runner forcing a play because they're advancing to second base, the pitcher could lift, they could turn. As long as they step towards second base, it is legal to feint the throw to second base. Now, righty. Gotta love Nebraska weather. Midwest weather has been kind of chilly. So when can the pitcher blow on their hands? When can they not? When do we penalize? How do we penalize? So Federation 621. On cold days, if it's agreed at the plate meeting, pitchers can blow on their hands as they're doing it to warm up their hands. This is a safety thing. If a pitcher can't feel their hands or fingertips, it's dangerous for the batter because the ball will slip out of the hands. So coaches agree, yes, we're going to let them blow on their hands today to keep their hands and fingers warm so the batters are safe. Now let's say we don't have cold weather, we're not working with that. Pitcher may blow on their hand when? After they do so, they request for a new ball right away. They knew they made a mistake. They're not trying to break the rule. Hey, Blue, give me a new ball. There's been a lot of discussion with a pitcher feinting a throw to a base in Federation High School baseball. So we're going to break it down. First base, second base, third base, have a video, and have a case play. First base. A lefty or righty pitcher cannot feint or fake a throw without disengaging and becoming a fielder. If they remain a pitcher and they fake the throw to first base, it is a balk. Second base, lefty or righty pitcher. This is legal as long as they step towards second base. So they do not have to throw it. It could be an inside move. It could be a jump move. They can fake a throw to second base, lefty and righty, as long as they step towards second base. Third base. A righty could step towards third base and then complete a throw to first base, and this is legal. This is the only level of baseball this fake to third, throw to first is legal. Let's take a look at a video of the fake to third, throw to first as a legal pickoff play in Federation High School. Runner on first, third, step towards third, fake to throw, go to first, out. Fake to third, throw it to first, out. This is a legal play in Federation High School baseball. So when is it illegal to fake the throw to third? and throw to first, it's when the pitcher never steps towards third base and feints to throw. The pitcher, righty or lefty, can fake a throw to third base as so long as they step towards third base. If you're watching this video and you coach original baseball rules, or if you coach NAIA, JUCO, NCAA, fake to third base is illegal. You must throw the ball if you remain a pitcher, or anytime a pitcher disengages, clearly steps off behind the pitcher's plate, they are now a fielder. Now they could throw it anywhere. They could fake it anywhere. Gotta love Nebraska weather. Midwest weather. It's been kind of chilly. So when can the pitcher blow on their hands? When can they not? When do we penalize? How do we penalize? So Federation 621. On cold days, if it's agreed at the plate meeting, pitchers can blow on their hands as they're doing it to warm up their hands. This is a safety thing. If a pitcher can't feel their hands or fingertips, it's dangerous for the batter because the ball will slip out of the hands. So coaches agree, yes, we're going to let them blow on their hands today to keep their hands and fingers warm so the batters are safe. Now let's say we don't have cold weather. We're not working with that. Pitcher may blow on their hand when? After they do so, they request for a new ball right away. They knew they made a mistake. They're not trying to break the rule. Hey, Blue, give me a new ball. If they're off the pitcher's plate and they clearly rub off their hand, they could blow on their hands. If it's not one of those, this is a specific NFHS rule. If the pitcher's on the pitcher's plate and goes to the mouth, just like this pitcher's doing right here, if there's a runner on base, this is a balk. There's a lot of confusion out there because other rule sets, it's a ball, B-A-L-L, because it's an advantage to the pitcher against the hitter. Not in Federation. Runners on base, balk. No runners on base. Umpires call time, switch out the baseballs. Again, most of the time this does not come up on normal weather days. It does come up on cold days. Have that discussion at the coaches and umpires plate meeting. Substitutes. We focused in on this a little bit in previous training tapes. It's still coming up as there's confusion of what is the coach umpire doing with the lineup card, who's going where. So now we're going to go into really the mechanics of reporting substitutes to prevent confusion of not only to the opposing coach, but also to the scorekeeper. Games and statistics are very important in the game of baseball. So if we are incorrectly reporting substitutes or not reporting substitutes and statistics are given to the wrong players, that could have effects somewhere outside the diamond. So let's get these substitute mechanics sharp, clear, and decisive. So number one, call time. Number two, even though it might seem uncomfortable, you want to step in front of the plate facing the catcher. So most of the time the press box is now going to be straight in front of you. This prevents a lot of things. Number one, it prevents the pitcher from getting on the rubber and getting ready to pitch. The last thing we want to do is be in a rush and hurry after substitute because the pitcher's on the mound ready to pitch. Number two, you are letting everybody know around that diamond that there is a substitute going on. Just like any other sport, we do not want to rush substitutions. The next thing you do, confirm the substitute is legal. Is it a player that had not previously been played in the game? If it's a re-entry rule, is the player going in the same batting position? Are we courtesy running? If we are we courtesy running for the pitcher or catcher? Once we have, yes, this is a legal substitute, you're going to write it on your scorecard. Then now we have to communicate. So you want to, with your right hand, give a C for courtesy runner or wave at the press box. Now that's indicating a substitute. Then you point to the courtesy runner or substitute. And that C and wave are two distinct signals, so we know why that substitute is coming into the game. If it's a courtesy runner, that player later in the game is still an eligible substitute to be a pinch runner, to be a pitch hitter, to be a defensive substitute, to be a pitcher. If it's a wave, that is clearly saying this person is entering the game for the very first time. And the person they're coming in for can only re-enter once. Or courtesy runner, re-entry rule does not apply for courtesy runner. So be very clear with a C or a wave to show the difference between courtesy runner or substitute. And then point to the base the courtesy runner or pinch runner is going to. Point at the position that substitute is going into. So if it's right field, I'm going up and over. If it's first base, I'm pointing straight to the first base defensive position spot. Strike zone accuracy tips. I call it tic-tac-toe. If you've been through our, we'll call it basic foundations training with Premier Sports, we call it on the rubber, get set, call it. This is now 2.0 training. And what we mean by 2.0 training, it's the next step up. All right, so by rule, we have the high school strike zone right here. This is where we get that tic-tac-toe situation. All right, so the plate is 17 inches. But the rule is any part of the ball that touches that plate, which is 2¼ inches wide, by the way, is a strike by rule. So we just went from 17 to 19 to 21½ inches by rule. Major League Baseball is given 1 inch buffer zone. NCAA baseball is given 2-inch buffer zone. High school baseball, we don't have a specific buffer zone. We definitely can't call pitches that hit the batter's box, though. All right, so how do we get to this point? Tic-tac-toe, create your box. So inside corner, get your nose on the most inside part of the zone. And we highlight the zone because it's not what I think the zone is. It's not what you think the zone is. It's what the rule book says the zone is. All right, so you want to put your nose at minimum 2¼ inches off the plate. Because when that pitch is coming in, pitch isn't going to hit our body, but we can feel where would that ball had hit my body if the catcher didn't catch it. If it's on the right side of my nose, all right, it's inside the zone. If it's on the left side of my nose, all right, it's inside. It's a ball. All right, so that is how you get the inside part of this tic-tac-toe line. This umpire's nose is 1 inch off the plate. The next one, calibrate where the batter's elbow is compared to the face mask or chin. Why do we say that? This is the part of the strike zone that changes batter to batter. Inside, outside is always the same. Batter to batter, height changes. All right, so the rule is when that batter is in a normal batting stance, the top of the zone is the midpoint. The midpoint is below the elbow. So that's why we calibrate where is the elbow compared to the catcher's mask. All right, so here we have this line of the tic-tac-toe. So lining up that elbow, I have it on the lower third of this catcher's mask. So if that catcher catches the pitch, lower third of the mask, don't forget that buffer zone. You do have a buffer zone on top as well. That is a strike. All right, so coaches will say, man, that pitch was above the elbow. Guess what, coach? You are correct. Because any part of the ball that touches this top portion of the batter's, the strike zone is a strike. So there's 2¼ inches by rule above this dotted line. there's a buffer zone on this dotted line. So umpires, if you're looking for strikes, we're always big on the outside. We got to shorten that a little bit. Get your high strikes. We're not getting enough strikes on the high part of the zone. The third part of the tic-tac-toe zone is the catcher's glove and body part. See where the catcher starts their glove. Know what body part of the catcher is on the outside part of the zone. Not your zone, not my zone, the rulebook zone. All right, so if I take a look at this picture, this outside portion of the catcher's glove is already in the buffer zone. So I know before that pitch comes in, if that glove moves anywhere outside, that pitch is outside. You take a look at the catcher's chest. This catcher's chest is right in the buffer zone. So if that glove comes up and it's on the right side of his body frame, I have a ball. All right, so create your tic-tac-toe every single pitch, every single batter. We're going to take a look at some examples of pitches off the plate and how we could use our tic-tac-toe and timing to get these pitches correct. So here's pitch number 1. All right, so here's the tic-tac-toe. We have the catcher right knee almost touching this box. We have the glove starting in the buffer zone. So this should now tell us if this glove moves to the right over this knee, it's outside the zone. All of a sudden it comes back on the inside. All right. This is where the nose theory comes into play. We have the ball below the elbow. If this ball is on the inside part of the umpire's nose, we have a ball. If this ball is right on the nose of the umpire, we have a strike. All right. This film's not going to show clearly, was it a ball, was it a strike, but this is how we can improve our accuracy. All right, pre-pitch, we have the catcher setting up outside, so we're going to get that body part, that glove. We have our nose already on the inside. And then when we bring it all together, all right, this is the moment we should judge. All right, stay down, let everything happen, and then judge, was this a strike or was this a ball? We should not be moving at all until all action is complete. Pitch number 2. See how this catcher has moved outside even more right now. All right, so doing our tic-tac-toe, our nose is going to be on the inside portion of this strike zone, same spot every single time, every single pitch. As this catcher moves, don't let him trick you. So he's further outside now. So this glove has to be more inside of his body frame. All right, so this catcher fooled the umpire. All right, so see this ball, his glove is moving away from where it started. We already knew the glove started in the buffer zone. So by this glove moving this far out, this is a ball because we knew where the glove started. Catchers, this is a little tip. When you bring the glove back all the way across into the plate again, we should be calling that a ball unless you start on the inside corner. But umpires, don't let these catchers fool you. All right, know where that glove started. Don't let them bring it back, quote unquote, into the zone. Get your tic-tac-toe early. And once again, we are not starting to move at all until the catcher is done doing everything. This one is clearly a ball based on where the catcher set it up and where I drew my tic-tac-toe chart. Pitch number 3. So there's the catcher's right knee over the batter's box line. I'm going to call this glove in the buffer zone, so I know this glove stays anywhere near the chest. It could be an acceptable strike. Any movement towards the right is going to put that glove and ball outside the buffer zone. Now he comes back inside with it. All right, so now we got to look, where was it compared to my nose? So it's right at the elbow. If it hit your nose, if it hit the inside part of your nose, this can be an acceptable strike. All right. Height is definitely good. That is 100% sure. The question is, we don't know clearly on this angle, but if it's on the inside part of your nose towards the batter, ball, if it's even or on the side of your nose of the catcher, this is a strike. Get your tic-tac-toe grid before each and every pitch. So this is a pitch sequence of an umpire that was observed last week in high school baseball. And his right side outside corner was really good. But with lefty batters, it was much larger. So instead of just saying, hey, your zone's too big, let's figure out why is the outside part of the zone big. And what I told this umpire, when he was with righties, he went straight down. When he is umpiring lefty, he leans to the left. And when he leans to the left, his left eye gets blocked by the catcher's mask. So now he's calling the pitch with one eye instead of two. That changes how we view the zone. All right, so if you're working with a partner and you know one part of the zone is bigger than the other part of the zone, let's start asking questions. Why? And typically it's mechanics. When we see a pitch with one eye, our zone is going to be different than when we see pitches with two eyes. The purpose of working the slot is so we could see the ball out of the pitcher's hand into the catcher's glove with two eyes every single time. I also like this at bat because it brings up the bunt and how the zone does not change when this bunter squares. Notice when this batter was standing straight up right here, this is where the strike zone is made. All right, so we have to calibrate where's this batter's elbow compared to the catcher's mask/body. When he squares the bunt, yes, he does squat down a little bit more. This does not change the top half of the zone. All right, that top half of the zone is created in a normal batting stance. This is a bunting stance. So don't change the top of your zone when you calibrate that tic-tac-toe. Malicious contact. If you've been to our in-person training sessions, what we've said, you know it when you see it. It will find you. You do not have to find malicious contact. So let's talk about the rule, then we'll pull up a play. Rule. Malicious contact will supersede obstruction. So just because the catcher is blocking the path to home plate doesn't give the runner a free hit on the catcher. When this happens, runner is out for interference, malicious contact, and is ejected. That's a big one. Now, catchers, coaches, please share this with your catchers. Please have them watch, if anything, this part of the video. To avoid obstruction, you must start in legal position. A lot of times catchers will be like, well, that's where the ball was thrown, which is great, but you're not given that if you do not start legal. Umpires assist this. State to the catcher, clear the plate, move forward. I don't put my hands on the catcher, but I do use my voice to get them away from home plate so the runner has a clear path to home plate. Runners, coaches, please share this with your runners. Have them watch this video. For you to be awarded obstruction when the catcher is blocking the plate, you could do two things to avoid the offensive interference and malicious contact to be called on you. Number one, legally slide straight to and into the catcher going to home plate. Second thing is once you see the catcher blocking home plate and they don't have the ball, you could run anywhere on the field to avoid interference. 10 feet to the left, 10 feet to the right, anywhere. A base path is not made until the catcher has the ball and they are now starting to attempt to tag you. At that point, you do only have 3 feet. But before that, you could run anywhere to avoid interference. Now let's take a look at the play. So we have a 9-8 ball game. Runners on first and third. Home team is batting in the bottom of the 6th inning, which in this game is the last inning of the game. Here comes this catcher is starting in an illegal position. Catcher's blocking home plate without possession of the ball. So this is the point. I'm not calling obstruction yet, but this is the point as an umpire. I am saying clear the plate, move forward, right? Because this catcher cannot be blocking the path to home plate. This runner clearly seeked out the catcher and made malicious contact on the catcher. By rule, offensive interference, malicious contact supersedes obstruction. The batter is out and the batter is ejected. Let's finish the play. The malicious contact is automatically dead ball by rule. So since there was a runner on first base, where was the runner when this malicious contact happened? This runner is now at second base. So we would keep this runner at second base. We would not return to first base. But yes, at this point, we have obstruction. Catcher is blocking the path towards home plate, and he does not have clear possession of the ball. Right now, this runner is not sliding legally. He is not running anywhere on the field to avoid interference. He is running straight to the catcher with his lead shoulder right through the catcher. Malicious contact, time. Offensive interference, you're out. You ejected. Mechanic side notes. When you have a potential collision home plate, this umpire is in perfect position on the left-hand side. This is the only time you really want to be on the left-hand side with the play at home. Second, take off your mask. Take off your mask with your left hand so there's no visual interference whatsoever as an umpire. So at the end of this clip, we have catcher obstruction. We have offensive runner interference with malicious contact. And since we have malicious contact, that will supersede the obstruction. Learning points. Runners, slide legally, run to avoid interference to get the obstruction call. Catchers, clear the path to home plate, be clearly in front when the play starts. The last thing we're going to cover here is NSAA test review. All right, so I'm logged into my NSAA account. I'm going to go to baseball, view your part 1 test. So I scored a 90%. What I'm really focusing on are the ones I got incorrect. More, the starting pitcher is removed as a pitcher in the 3rd inning. I answered he may return to pitch if he has re-entry eligibility and his removal was not because of a violation of charge conference rule, which is half correct, but so is C. A pitcher may return to pitch if he has re-entry eligibility and his replacement did not require more than 8 warm-up pitches. Home team is utilizing Smith as a pitcher DH. Wrong. This is why I got this wrong. In Federation rules, P stands for player. Player DH. In the 2nd inning, Smith hits a double. Home team coach now comes to the plate umpire and tells the plate umpire number 45, Russell will be a courtesy runner for Smith. He cannot do that. NFHS rules. P stands for pitcher. P stands for player. Player DH. So when that DH is hitting, they are hitting in the role of a DH. You cannot courtesy runner for a DH. Provided a ground rule does not supersede a rules book rule, it becomes in force when, I answered, both coaches agree to postpone ground rules. Half right. It's also the umpires formulate the ground rules if teams cannot agree. So it's both A and B. And the last one on this part, the base umpire declares foul on a fly ball that is caught by the right fielder in fair ground and is then thrown to second, double up the runner who left the base too soon. My answer, it is a foul ball and the ball is immediately dead. That's incorrect. And what I learned from that, since the ball was caught, yes, in foul territory, whether that umpire got it right or wrong, it's still a caught batted ball. Ball remains live when a fly batted ball is caught by the defense. So therefore, it's live and in play, catch is recorded, and the out is recorded at second base because they appealed that the runner left prior to that batted ball touching the glove. So once I review part 1 test, we are now able to review part 2 test. So baseball got 88% closed book. I got the same question incorrect. P stands for player in federation. All right, so I probably won't forget that for the rest of hopefully this year. Federation difference. Pitcher may turn his shoulders, I said, from the windup position. Correct answer for federation, from the set position before bringing the hands together during or after the stretch. Again, it's a terminology thing that I got wrong, and it's important to review rule sets because when terminology changes, enforcement changes. So federation, we're in the set position with our hands not together. We can turn our shoulders there. Once we bring our hands together, we are now in the stretch. We cannot turn our shoulders in federation once we bring our hands together. Immediate dead ball. The ball is batted with an illegal bat. I chose a member of the offensive team creates a distraction for the purpose of causing the opposing pitcher to balk. All right. Correct answer, ball is batted with an illegal bat, immediate dead ball. A starter batting in the 6th lineout spot is removed and returns later to bat in the 5th spot. NFHS rule difference. The penalty for illegal substitution shall supersede the penalty for the batting out of order. With runners on base, it is a balk when a pitcher feints a pitch toward the batter. That is true, but also B and C. When the pitcher comes to a stop at the chin level and then stops again at the chest. So in federation, they cannot come to a complete discernible stop and then make another movement down with the glove. While on the pitcher's plate, the pitcher goes to the mouth with the pitching hand. As we stated earlier in this training tape, NFHS rule difference. That is a balk if there's a runner on base, they're engaged with the pitcher's plate, and they go to their mouth with their pitching hand. And last one I got incorrect. When a strikeout involves more than one batter, it is charged to. This is a scorekeeping. The batter who received at least 2 strikes. Right? Not important for us umpires, but for the scorekeepers watching this, important rule that I as a supervisor, observer, and umpire got incorrect. Again, federation rule difference. So umpires watching this training tape, if you work select baseball, if you work Legion baseball, if you work Federation baseball, NCAA, NAI, JUCO baseball, go back to these rules tests that you take and make sure you're reminding yourself what are the rule differences to this level of ball that I am working today. That does conclude training tape number 5. I hope you enjoyed the information. Those who are working games this week, if you have rules questions, if you have videotape of a play, send them in, because that is what exactly made tape number 5, with tape number 6 coming next week. All right, so reminder, all umpires are welcome Monday, April 8th, 7:30, 9 o'clock. We're going to have a rules discussion meeting live at DJ's Dugout, 114th and Miracle Hills Drive in Omaha, Nebraska. We will have it open as a live event. If you can't make it in person, you can ask your questions in the chat box. So until next week's training tape, thank you for taking time out today. And umpires, remember, you're only as good as your last call.